force requires an alternative party aggressing and coercing you. Like it's not like we have a capitalist economy with great welfare state. You have a diversity of companies to work for, and like a bunch of other things. You're not forced to work. No one's forcing you to work.
Is there any example of the word forced where you would apply that doesn't involve some sort of physical harm being threatened upon someone, or is that the only examples of that you would apply the word force?
I mean, if we're in like an extreme monopolistic environment, are you
Wait,
coerced
wait,
into
wait,
breathing?
Localized, are you coerced to breathe?
Wait,
Or are you coerced to eat?
No. This is shit. This is absolute
Wait,
shit.
no, I
We're
want to answer
talking
that from
about
Localized. Localized, are you coerced to eat and breathe?
We're talking about the action.
Wait, no, fuck up, shut the fuck up, Localist,
Casey,
answer the
hello?
question.
I said no.
Okay,
Why?
so you literally said a minute ago, if you have no choice but to do something, then you are coerced to do it. Did you not say that?
If you have no other means to sustain yourself besides a wage, you're coerced into working.
If you have no means to sustain yourself beside eating and breathing, which you don't,
Are you coerced
then
to
you're
eat it?
coerced
Like-
to breathe.
No.
eating and breathing.
Like, you need to
There we
make
go.
sure people have the basic amount to sustain themselves, independent of a wage, independent of,
Well, I mean,
in
to
order
be
for it
clear,
not to be
in support of welfare, I
work.
understand you hate the UBI dependents
welfare.
too.
That's
but-
not how that. No, that's still.
Well, what do you mean? Well,
dependent.
welfare obviously gives you the resources to be able to maintain yourself. What do you mean? Like, I'm giving you
People
money.
can't independently sustain themselves, so they
Well, what do you
depend
mean
on
independent? Like, most people
Buy
in
your stuff.
communes also don't independently sustain themselves.
they can independently as a group sustain themselves.
That's it. What? Do you not see the issue with what you just said?
Brilliant solution to the fact
my
that no
brilliant
one's producing food to sustain themselves. Which
Well,
is
I
the
don't think there's.
fundamental
I don't
issue
think
that
there's.
you
I don't
solve.
think that's not a. Why is that a fundamental issue? You wait. You already can see that's not an issue that Tiger Woods doesn't mow his own lawn, right? That's not an issue.
I think it is.
And hunt for his own food.
Okay, wait, that is it. You think that is an issue now? If you want to see more content like this, I would really appreciate you liking and subscribing. It really helps with the algorithm. And make sure to check out the Discord and other social links in the description. I don't know, they're just in the waiting room. Casey didn't like that you said people weren't forced to work. I remember that.
Oh, okay, Casey.
Oh wait. Oh.
So first of all, to be
Forced
clear,
to
the most thing I take issue with was G.A. Cohen's passage where he defines like forced as you have no reasonable or acceptable alternative course. Like to me, that's a crazy, way too broad a definition of forced, right? Like I'm forced to wake up in the morning. Like it's not forced. No one's like not. It's just a fact of reality that you don't have an alternative to. But no one's forcing you to wake up. Like forced requires an alternative party aggressing and coercing you. Like it's not. Right, and if
Wouldn't
we have
say
a
that.
capitalist system with like a great welfare state, and like we have a capitalist economy with great welfare state, you have a diversity of companies to work for, and like a bunch of other things, you're not forced to work. No one's forcing you to work, even if whatever. Okay, you're not forced. And also, let's say you are. Let's say this definition, we accept this dog shit horrible definition of forced. That means nothing. Then I don't think the system is immoral for it. I don't like you just adopted a non-normative definition of force. Good job. Whatever.
So first, I agree. If we're talking about like a welfare, a good welfare state, then yeah, that I don't think. And the word forced, obviously, it doesn't belong there. But if we're talking about, not like you need to work to live in a home or have a roof over your head. I'm fine with the
You
word
need
forced.
to. You're not forced to. Like, I would never
But-
say you're forced to. If you're white, if you're white in chess, you're forced to play the first move. You just you need to. That's a law of nature or something, right? Like forcing is like I see a woman in the street and I force her to give me her purse, right? Like that would be force, right? I'm stealing from. I'm aggressive.
Coercion isn't force.
Coercion is force. What?
Yeah, like it is coercion though, even if like you're not forced into it. Right?
No, I'm forcing the woman. If I tell her, hey, give me your purse, or I like shoot you or something, that's like that's force, right? I'm forcing her to like give up her purse. But if like giving up her purse is like I don't know a way to like, let's say she thinks it's unacceptable for me to not go to my father's funeral, but she doesn't have enough money to for the drive. Okay, so she sells her purse and drives home. Well, then, if she didn't sell the purse, she would not have an accept. Like the alternative would be unacceptable. So according to G.A. Cohen's definition, she's forced. But no, I don't think she's forced to sell the purse. We abuse the word really hard. Forced is not just like you need to, or it's like a lot. Forced is like a very tragic thing, which is like coerced and forced upon you. It's traumatic. It's not like oh, you're forced because no alternative.
Is
Like,
there
no.
example of the word forced where you would apply that doesn't involve some sort of physical harm being threatened upon someone, or is that the only examples of that you would apply the word
I mean, if
forced?
we're in like an extreme monopolistic environment, so if like, if you were like starving to death and and I had like the only, like, I don't know, like sandwich around, right? And I could give it to you as long as you do my bidding, then I'm forcing you, right? Like or like I'm coercing you or whatever you want to call it, right? But like, that's like extreme monopoly. Like, if you have a diversity of choices, which you may not like, you may not find reasonable, you may even find them morally unacceptable, you're still not forced, right? Like, if you could do a million other things to like eat, you're not forced. Sorry.
Wage dependence is coercive, though, is it not?
What?
Wage,
Wage what?
like, wage.
Bro, Localist,
Dependent.
your
Bro, get
microphone.
fix your mic and stop
All
being
right,
a
my-
troll. I don't really
His
respect
mic is-
you.
Wage
His
dependence
mic is cutting in and
coercive,
out, but I
right?
think he's saying wage dependence.
He's
Yeah.
just saying wage dependence is inherently coercive or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, maybe as of now, but like, first of all, no, not even as of now. You can just like move to, like, first of all, you can move to another city, find a better job, right? You just choose not to do that. You
Still
like, there are
dependent.
other jobs you could already work for. We have a welfare system you can apply for. Like, it's just
Yeah,
not.
localism. You can
No, you're
already
not
do
forced.
what you want to do. You can just move to a commune. They exist. I'm in North Carolina. We have multiple communes here where you can go live in an
You could work
agrarian
in,
society.
yeah.
Well,
But
essentially,
like,
the people.
the same way that you're
Right.
not forced to like eat, no one's forcing like like saying I'm forced to eat or I'm forced to breathe. That's like, I understand what people are trying to say, but that's like such an abuse of the word. Like, you just say I need to or I have no choice but to, right? Like, you don't have a choice but to work. Okay,
Yeah,
then
definitely.
you're not forced, right? Like, it's just
That's
not.
coercion.
No.
If you have no,
Not
yes,
coercion.
if you have
Well,
no
are you
choice but to work.
coerced?
Are you
Wait, are you? Oh,
coerced
wait,
into
wait, wait,
breathing?
localist.
Wait,
Are you coerced to breathe?
Wait, wait,
Are you
Localist.
coerced to eat?
no. This is shit. This is absolute
Wait,
shit.
no,
'Cause
I want to
we're
answer that
talking
from
about
localist. Localist, are you coerced to eat and breathe?
we're talking about the actions.
Wait, no,
of
fuck up,
people-
shut the fuck up, localist.
Casey,
Answer the
hello?
question.
I said no.
Okay,
Why?
so you literally said a minute ago, if you have no choice but to do something, then you are coerced to do it. Did you not say that?
If you have no other means to sustain yourself besides a wage, you're coerced into working.
If
That's
you
not
have no means to sustain yourself beside eating and breathing, which you don't,
Are you coerced
then
to
you're
eat it?
coerced
Like,
to
No,
breathe,
no, no,
eating
no,
and
no.
breathing.
No. The difference is in that we're applying the actions of another person. We're applying the actions of a person that affect the
Oh.
status of another person,
What do you
such
mean?
that
What?
they would. Yeah,
What do you
that
mean the actions of another person?
coercion.
I don't
They're
understand
being
what that means.
coerced by the actions, maybe the laws, maybe the the decisions that they've made that that set up the
They're coerced by
society.
nature.
Not by nature.
To breathe?
I
Yeah.
would. I wouldn't say that if we go back to 2,000 years that anyone's being coerced to work or whatever, but in the more in the modern state where alternatives are more it could be implemented much more acceptably and are in many places, that the system is set up to coerce people to do things, sometimes sometimes work for low wages, work for lower wages and that they're okay with or whatever. But I mean, I don't think the word. I mean, it's like, well, what? I mean, the original debate was about the word slave, I think, which is but just to use the word forced or coercion, I think is a step below that I'm much more okay with applying in this context.
Yeah, it's wage.
I don't know. I think it's just like too broad. Like, I think again, coercion to me or forced to me would be like a very strong word that would be applied when someone is forcing you or bending your will to, or like you have like you're in a super crazy monopolistic environment. But none of these are true for the modern age capitalism. You're not forced to work the same way that like
You are.
you're not forced to communicate with other people. You have no alternative reasonable course, right? But you're not forced to. You would die.
So,
The
I mean,
way
even in
of
like
work-
modern capitalist countries, most have welfare states where if you really don't want to work, like technically you don't have to, you just have to suffer a pretty bad existence on welfare.
Yeah, no, and his definition, it's like not even like that. It's not even like you don't have any choice. He says you don't even have a reasonable or acceptable choice. So like if I don't accept it, like so again, if someone is like I'm an incel, I think it's unacceptable to talk to women, but they have to, right? Like they have to. Let's say they're lost in like the middle of the city and they don't know how to get to their like whatever. So they need and there are only women around, so they need to ask one of the women for direction. Are they forced to talk to women? No, it's just reality and like grow the fuck up and so like I don't know. Acceptable? That's a
There's
crazy
so
predicate
many
to add.
issues with this. Reasonably,
What do
it's
you
not
mean?
that you're applying unreasonable logic. If someone,
No,
some
I'm just trying to
ridiculous.
concoct a specific hypothetical. Like if someone just like like you kind of have to talk to women to live in the modern age. So are you forced if you don't find it acceptable to talk to women? Like that's what I would. Yeah,
Are the
the answer
actions
goes
by
to-
someone, the actions of someone create that situation?
Probably,
Probably not.
probably. I mean, if
I don't
these
think it's
women
really
would have
applicable
more
here.
something, or if we segregate it into male only areas of the city,
I don't know.
probably
I
we
don't know if I would
could, right? Like we
necessarily
could.
say force requires an agent on the other side. If I had a robot
But what he's saying is
programmed
that like it
programmed
requires an
to
agent to actualize the state of affairs where you don't need to do that action anymore.
That's usually how we use the word.
No, but
I don't-
I don't think that's how
Well,
we
I also
usually
think people
use it.
like people usually
If the
use the
mayor-
word
if the
force to
mayor
like
could
imply
decide, like,
something
let's
is
say
like
there was
violent and bad, and I don't think that's the case
That's fine.
here. But like
No, there was a resolution to the mayor. The mayor could have signed a law that says like now the city is segregated into male and female only zones. So he decided not to, but he has the power to. Am I now really forced to talk to women because I find it unacceptable? No.
You came up with a situation where someone could have done something to create the situation where that's not the current state, but that's not my standard. The standard was someone did something that created the current state, a positive action, not that someone
I don't
could
accept
have
the
done
distinction.
something that. I,
Let's say we were segregated and now we abolished the law. Like, am I forced to talk to women now? Like, I don't accept any distinction between positive and negative action. I don't think that makes sense. Like, I accept at least like morally or for like definitions like force. I don't think it makes any. I don't think it's any has any relevance. Like positive or negative action. Like some people try to say that like if you see it's immoral to rape, right? But if you see a woman getting raped and you could prevent it and you choose not to, that's not immoral because that's a negative action. Like no, it's still immoral, right? Like it's equally immoral.
that's not how I was
No,
using
I'm
it.
not saying that's what you're saying. I'm just saying in general, I don't accept like positive negative action distinctions. Like I don't think that makes any sense. At least not for morality.
We could understand the difference between the two. We don't have to buy the logic that not doing something wouldn't be immoral. To
Let's say no
understand,
one did anything. Like look, do you know what Coconut Island means?
yes.
Yeah, no one did any action that created Coconut Island, but you would still say I'm for it. So you don't even believe what you're saying.
No, but Coconut Island is based on one person having all the coconuts, and then that action by
Let's say he
hoarding the
woke up
coconuts and forcing the other person to work for you. And
how was he for they
that's
both
the action.
the plane crashed. He woke up first, he collected all the coconuts. Or let's say he woke up
Correct.
with all the
That's the
coconuts
action.
wait. Let's say he woke up with all the coconuts by his side.
Oh, okay.
He-
That's a little bit more interesting, I guess.
Does
We'll
it
buy his
meaningfully
side.
change the situation to you? Are you not forced to suck his dick anymore? Of course you are. What?
All right, so you inherited the coke person that inherited the
He
coconuts.
woke up with the coconuts by his side. I don't know. The
Okay,
plane crashed
okay.
and it made the coconuts go crazy. Like I don't know how physics works,
I would say that in that situation, in that extreme situation, not sharing the
Crazy.
coconuts freely would be, and then forcing the person to do actions for the coconuts would be an extreme. It would be a form of coercion. Obviously, you would be coercing that person to work for you for the coconuts or whatever.
I think that's crazy. I think that's crazy.
Okay.
Like I mean, you know, if I see, let's say your child is starving to death, and I walk around it and I don't have any food, but suddenly, I don't know, someone from the other, like, I don't know, someone threw a burrito like at me and I didn't see them. And I caught the burrito midair, and now I have a burrito in my hand. I didn't choose anything to make it that I have it in my hand. I just caught it in midair accidentally.
Nice catch.
And I decided not to give it to a starving child. I'm forcing them to die. Like, to me, it's clear you're forcing them to die. I don't know. Force, to me, force has nothing to do with like
No, 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 no.
party,
No, no, no. But
positive or
edit
negative
that.
to actualize the
You
situation.
would force them to do an action to get the burrito. Like
What?
honestly, I'm just applying the word how we use it colloquially, and that you're just getting triggered by it. That's what's happening here.
Well, I don't think we're applying it. I don't think G.A. Cohen is applying it. We use it colloquially. That's what I was complaining about. Like, under his definition, you are forced. To be clear, under his definition, you are forced to breathe because you have no alternative.
It's coercion, but not force, because that implies
No,
Yes,
under
you're
his definition,
talking about
it's force.
force.
I'm talking under G.A. Cohen.
force
You
be
don't-
physical, but coercion will be
Localist,
more.
you're a troll. I don't know
why
why
does
you
force
talk.
need
Shut up.
physical?
No, you have troll.
Localist, you are way more of a troll, but okay.
Either
No.
way, yeah. Either way, look. I mean, under the definition J. Cohen provided, and he was very clear, he was very obvious about it. Okay, I can read it again. He says, "When I am forced to do something, I have no reasonable or acceptable alternative course." Right, like that's his definition. Right. So, like that implies that you're forced to breathe, you're forced to eat, you're forced to talk to women, you're forced to like whatever. If you're an incel, no, you're not forced to any of these things, and it's such a dog shit thing. But let's even say you are. Let's say okay, the way we use the word commonly. Let's say I'm wrong about the way the word is commonly used.
We're
Let's
arguing
say-
over if
let's say
people are
you
forced to work. Sample doesn't
Then
think
okay,
it's fair to
good.
say
Like I don't
force.
see the moral value
I'm
like in saying any of
mostly
this.
aligned
Like,
with
this
him.
is not informative.
I
morally.
just
Same
don't-
with the libertarians.
I just
I
don't
don't
care. I
think
care more
taxation
about
is
the
theft.
argument.
But let's say
What's
they made a
happening?
good
That's
argument.
happening right now. Like
And
I don't really
some
care
of
if
the
it is
arguments are
force because
okay.
it's probably good.
Let's say I woke up one day, I was convinced. I now think taxation is theft. I would still support it because like the way they define theft has no moral bearing. It might be still good, so I don't care.
Wage
Okay,
slave.
You know what?
Wage slave. You
Real.
shut
Wagey.
up.
Real.
I prefer the term wagey.
Go back to work wagey.
No, I'm talking about wage slavery. Like, what about it? You know, that's
Like
coercion,
little-
right?
That's good.
I love
it's
wage
coercion.
slavery.
What do you consider?
Well,
wage
just because it's
slavery?
coercive doesn't necessarily mean it's not good. But also,
Essentially,
you already
no alternative besides wages for system.
wait. You localist,
Like,
Well, I
you
mean,
accept
wage-
that right
this is
now
just a
you could move
representation
to
of
a
labor,
commune,
so-
right?
Only
Even
if
in
you
a
have the
commune, you would
money.
still
and
have to
resources.
contribute,
You don't
Like,
need
that's
money
the
to move.
labor.
Wait, the commune doesn't use money. What do you mean?
I mean, I'm sure you could move to a free commune, but like, essentially,
Even
the way
a
it
free
works is
commune,
that
they
if
would
you don't
expect you to,
have
like,
enough
work and do
resources
stuff,
capital, you rely on people who do, in order to meet your needs. Like that's just how the system works.
If you what? Sorry.
If you'd, when you don't have enough like resources and capital, you rely on people who have enough resources and capital. That's just how
I mean, yeah, you work for an
it
income.
Yeah.
works.
It's kind of like a welfare state, yeah.
Like you need to
There we
make
go.
sure people have the basic amount to sustain themselves, independent of a wage, independent of
Well, I mean,
in
to
order
be
for it
clear,
not to be
in support of welfare, I
Award.
understand you hate the UBI dependence
Welfare,
too.
That's
but-
not how that. No, that's still.
Well, what do you mean?
dependent.
Well, welfare obviously gives you the resources to be able to maintain yourself. What do you mean? Like I'm giving you
People
money.
can't independently sustain themselves, so they
Well, what do you
depend
mean
on
independent? Like most people
By
in
yourself.
communes also don't independently sustain themselves.
can independently as a group sustain themselves.
That's it. What do you not see the issue with what you just said?
What?
They can independently as a group sustain themselves. America
the group
independently
can-
as a group can sustain ourselves. The globe, the entire globe, can independently as a group sustain ourselves. Like
Well, there's difference because that's not self-sustain. Like you, because
what do you
there's
mean? Wait. Yes or no? Is the Earth self-sustainable? Is the Earth self-sustainable?
that doesn't mean anything to
Yeah,
me.
the answer no.
Is
Fucking
the Earth-
answer is yes or no. Is the Earth self-sustainable? Yes or no? Yes or
What does
no? Do we produce
that
everything and consume everything for ourselves here? Are we self-sustainable? Do we not rely on other planets? I mean, I guess the sun
mean-
provides energy, but like, you know,
Oh, sure. if
Sure,
you
okay.
use that.
So
Weird.
I mean, like we can produce everything we can sustain ourselves independently as a planet.
Yeah, that's how all ecosystems work. You sustain, yeah, like, but that doesn't mean
Yeah,
you're
and you said
independently
that, you know, communes can, you know, sustain themselves independently as a group. So like,
You need to be able to sustain yourself. It's that simple.
but you already conceded. You don't think that that even in communes people sustain themselves independently.
They do as a group.
Yeah, the Earth does as a group too, dipshit.
Oh wow, that's so. I never thought of it like that. That going to the grocery store is the same as growing your own food. Never thought of it like
Well,
that.
it just depends on the scale that you. The thing I'm saying here is I understand you have justifications for why being self-sustainable on a local level is good as well. It is preferable to being sustainable on a planetary level, but like there's more work ahead of you than just saying people need to be able to sustain themselves because of the everything I just said.
People need to be able to sustain themselves if they don't want to depend on external, like, whether it's wages or like UBI or welfare or whatever. Like, you need to be able to sustain yourself. That's just like, you can't avoid that. That's
I don't disagree that if you don't want to depend on other people, you have to be able to sustain yourself. I just don't think there's sufficient justification for not depending on other people. At least,
like in the mountains, like you grow up in the suburbs and you go through school, but at no point are you able to independently sustain yourself unless you own the property to do so. Like, you need to have enough property to sustain yourself.
Almost nobody independently sustain themselves. Because most people prefer to just like live a normal life because there are a lot of benefits from trade. Like, wait, the easy question: yes or no? You've answered this correctly before. Yes or no? Should Tiger Woods mow his own lawn?
No, he should pay.
Okay, great. So Tiger Woods has justification for not being self-sufficient, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you would recognize that American workers who are relatively productive also have some justification for being less or for not being self-sufficient, even if they are.
Tiger Woods enough to sustain himself. He has enough property, enough capital, enough resources. The average person doesn't.
That's not the reason he shouldn't mow his own lawn. That's not the reason he shouldn't mow his own lawn, dumbass.
Yes, obviously.
Because of what? Sorry, you cut out.
He's more efficient at what he does.
No. That's not the reason. No.
He has a comparative advantage. Yes. That's what we're in fact. But opportunity cost.
There we go. Correct. The opportunity cost of Tiger Woods mowing his own lawn is really big, so he shouldn't be entirely self-sufficient and mow his own lawn. In the same way, 90% of American workers have the opportunity cost is too high for them to grow their own food because, centralized farms can grow it way more efficiently than they can. They have a competitive advantage in growing that food. Yeah, this is how the interdependence and gains from trades work.
By whoever can grow
that doesn't follow. That doesn't follow. That doesn't follow.
You know it does.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
I think food should be, for the most part, allocated by the free market. I'm in support of income security programs that ensure people's access to food who wouldn't otherwise get it via the free market. But I think an efficient allocation of food can be.
It should be allocated by the free market. Except for people who can't, and then they should, you should.
Well, do you understand? I'm in support. Well, no, I'm in support of giving people the means to buy food that is allocated by the market. Like I'm in support of the private ownership of.
Brilliant solution to the fact that no one's producing food to sustain themselves.
Well, I don't think that's not why is that a fundamental issue? Wait. You already concede it's not an issue that Tiger Woods doesn't mow his own lawn, right? That's not an issue?
I think it is.
And hunt for his own food.
Okay, wait, that is it. You think that is an issue now?
I think so. I think we should make him do it. But
Tiger Woods should be entirely self-sufficient. So you realize both Tiger Woods would be more poor and everyone else would be poorer if Tiger Woods mowed his own lawn, right?
Cost of working a job for 60 years in a row.
What's the what?
What's the opportunity cost of working a wage job for 60 years?
I don't know. You could have gone to school. You could have at some point gotten a salaried job. Not many people earn a wage job their whole life, but you could have. I mean, I don't know. You could have moved to a commune.
Would you say that coerced labor is an efficient way to like, yeah, like, is it an efficient way to allocate human capital and human like?
I mean, for
like-
the most part, efficient. Yeah. I mean, you are going to use a bullshit definition of efficient, but yeah, I would say generally
So the
it
people
makes.
here,
I would say generally it makes labor flow to its most productive use case. You know, like if people demand
the
more,
sphere.
if people demand more.
Well,
Well, yeah. If people demand the sphere, and then the labor it takes to build the sphere is, you know, bid up in price, so more workers are incentivized to go build the sphere. You have a really dumb definition of efficient, which is just based on your own value judgments that only like agriculture and manufacturing jobs are real and like service sector jobs are fake just because of your own subjective value judgment. But for the rest of us, like normal economists, like, yeah, like clearly the market does a relatively good job at you know, incentivizing labor to flow to its more productive use cases.
And I think the end game is automated, self-sustaining agriculture, localized, completely automated. Maybe publicly.
I think insofar as people demand that, the free market will tend to move towards that.
Like, what if your community owned an indoor farm which was fully automatic? Wouldn't that be the ideal situation?
Talk to Econoboy about it. Econoboy loves communally owned grocery stores and farms. Okay, I don't think you said farms, but he would love it.
Indoor automated farm, locally owned, like it's perfect. Why why not?
Well, I think the opportunity cost of having local farms is just too high, and there's like not that much of a benefit to it.
What if it's the same efficiency no matter where you put it?
Well, there can still be. Well, you say same efficiency, but like even with the same like absolute efficiency, you can still be comparatively better or worse, right?
Well, you could put the same factory anywhere, and it'll always have this. Like it always produces.
Well, not for food.
What are we talking? What's a local farm? What are we?
Localist believes that like each community should have like their own like locally independent farm. He believes people shouldn't be wage slaves, and they should all be, every local community should be self-sufficient essentially.
I'm trying to free the wage slaves from their coerced labor dynamic.
Yeah, but I mean, we like where I live, we make good apples. We're the apple state or whatever, so we do apples. Somewhere else does something else or something. Right? And we trade or whatever.
Usually because of climate, but when you have indoor farming, you can grow anywhere. It's perfect. It's the ideal.
It's great for indoor farming, but I mean,
but
most
they're
things are
also
outdoors.
Yeah, there are also fixed cost advantages. So even with indoor farming, like you would still have fixed costs built out in certain areas, and they would maintain a comparative advantage because of that.
Like
I really like writing code for wage, and I don't like farming at all, and I don't want to participate in any farming activities my whole life, and I just want to code for wage. What about me?
Yeah, like you can do that.
Well, but how I don't localist. This is what you've never been able to properly answer for me. How are you going to get him to do that without, by some means, like coercing, or how are you going to get everyone to switch to like farming in their own local communities without like coercing people to do so?
Well, that's kind of the same thing people say with UBI is like, okay, well, like it creates no incentive to work. And
well, no, that's
like,
not what I'm asking. I'm asking, how do we move to your system where every local community has their own farm without like coercing them to do so, considering most people right now prefer to do the thing that gets them way more money than farming. Most people do not enjoy farming. Like 3% of the economy is in farming.
Yeah, but no one's going to be farming because you have an automated indoor local farm.
Wait, but we don't have that yet. You want to move to the system now. You want communities to have their own farms now, yes? Right?
I think we could have this within like 10 years. Like they have.
We're gonna have what within 10 years? Wait, but let's assume indoor farming isn't coming for. Let's assume indoor farming is not coming for 50 years or whatever. At least not to the scale that you want to be. Would you support each community having their own local farms now?
Well, because not all communities are the same. Like that doesn't.
Well, I generally will say maybe not literally all, but
ideally, probably.
Yeah, so we recognize it's going to be hard to do that without, like, by some means coercing people in local communities to do so, considering most people don't want to do that.
Self-sufficient agriculture is it's very hard to scale. Like it's very hard to do in the suburbs and the urban areas, but it's easy to do in rural areas because there's infinite.
So people live in cities and people like living in cities. How are you going to coerce them to move to rural areas and be self-sufficient farmers?
No, I think
most people just don't want to do that.
Automated. Well, I think the indoor farms will sustain cities.
Well, yeah, but like again, let's assume indoor farms aren't coming for another 50 years. How are we going to get people to move to rural communities and become self-sufficient farmers? Like, how's this?
Well, ideally, you would target the poor people, right? Because the poor people in Chicago, like those poor people in Chicago that the ghettos, are they really benefiting from being wage slaves?
Compared to the alternative?
We should give them land. We should give them the resources.
I mean, I'm in favor of giving them resources. I'm in favor of giving them $1,000 a month from a UBI or a social wealth fund or something.
About land. We're going to give them land.
Well, I mean, they can buy land with the money they have, and also I don't think everyone can own land. I think that's probably just mathematically impossible, but...
I'm trying to turn the ghetto into an agrarian utopia.
Wait, how much land... I don't actually know. How much land would each U.S. citizen own if we shared it evenly?
I don't know, but the idea of westward expansion was that every white male could own a farm.
I mean, well, yeah, the Homesteading Act, I'm aware, but like, well, it wasn't. That was just set up as an incentive to get people to move to the West.
I don't know why are we against trade? Why do we need to be
hates trade.
Sufficient communities? I don't understand why.
We got to free ourselves from wage dependence and UBI dependence.
Well, just because there's money involved or whatever, like being forced or to be in a situation where I have to grow my own food or whatever, that's where my time is going, and so like that would be I think that there's better ways, like even the like UBI would be beneficial to some extent.
I'm not saying that everyone should farm or that you should, that's different. I want like technological agriculture. I don't want people working on their farms. They don't need to. We should have drones and robots, and
that is more and more true. Yeah.
I know you always appeal to like the early days of the U.S. though, and like Jefferson and his agricultural view of America. So like clearly, I don't think you really care if it's automated or not. I think you support it either way.
No, I do, but maybe I do look in the past a little bit. That's more of just me. That's not really what I believe. That's just me romanticizing the old days when America was 90% self-sufficient locally. We used to What's funny is that the early America, it would be better equipped in a post-automation world than today's because of the self-sufficiency. Like we're going to be totally
equipped for what?
For surviving a post-labor world.
Post-labor? I mean, like we'll just do a UBI. Like we'll just give Social Security to everyone.
I'm talking about like after automation, like post-automation.
Oh, I see.
Why wouldn't we
like after I think the early America would have been better at handling mass automation than today's America, which is totally dependent on wages.
I mean, like we're a democracy for the most part. Like people will just vote for a UBI. They'll just vote for taxing the automation and like giving payments to people. Like,
and then one thing that's totally unrelated is that how people are like, when people talk about secession, it's always like California can go on its own because it's economically independent, and it's like you can only say that about Texas and California, and you need some sort of economic independence from all states in order to be able to have any sort of political.
I'm so curious.
Otherwise,
what do you think of Canadian statehood?
Well, I don't know. I think we should have less states, not more. But I think if they do that, I think that each individual province should secede from Canada and then independently join the U.S. if they want to. But what's the point of U.S. when it's just endless usurpation and endless
wait, if they want to all split off from Canada and then join, but what if they don't want to join the U.S.? Then they would create more states.
Then they don't have to join the U.S. They can just be independent.
They can
But
be
then that's creating more
self-sufficient.
states.
Well, you're
Well,
saying independent
I thought
as
you
in
were
like an
anti-
I
independent
don't
country,
think
right?
self- I
Yeah,
don't
but you
think
said you were
it should be-
anti-state
Well-
or states in general.
Well, I think he's anti-U.S. state. He wants less U.S. states. I think.
Yeah,
Oh. Oh,
I
okay.
want more states. Yeah, like but like there is a point to be made about that you're not really politically independent until you're economically independent. Otherwise, you can just be coerced into doing like things you don't want to do, which is an issue. I mean, I don't think
I mean,
it's
like, what's an
as much
example
of
of
an
that happening to the U.S.? Like, when's the last time that's really had a negative effect?
Like,
on
if
the
you
US
rely
and
on
just not?
federal funding for something, then they can just like
Oh wait, okay.
then like you'll be bullied into like whatever.
Based net benefit based.
But what if like you're physically incapable of providing for yourself?
What about it?
Like what if you're subsiding, or subsisting off of government whatever's, not because like you just don't want to work for a wage because you don't want to be a wagey, but because you like physically can't work for a wage, so you're like disabled. Like
It's just not ideal. Like, well,
It's
you
not
can't
ideal.
participate like economy if you're like but like I don't know. We need to stop the mass wage slavery.
Wait, but hold on. Like, how are they gonna not die under your system?
yeah,
Like,
they have
still
to
have
provide
welfare
for
for people who
themselves.
can't participate in the economy.
Wait, how do you know each local community will have welfare? How do you know at least one or two local communities won't just like vote to not have welfare?
What if
And
Well,
like,
they
just
can do
kill
that.
them?
community, the difference between
So wait,
being
they can't do that,
economically
so-
viable and
so
not
you're-
being economically viable is having to not carry that burden. What would be then be more like efficacious?
Wait, I'm not sure what you said. I was not.
Sorry,
I
never
don't know,
mind.
I suppose-
I said, what if the difference for a community to become economically viable versus not economically viable under your system? What if the difference was to either have that support system or have that welfare system versus not have it? Would it be more important to have that safety net but not be able to be coerced because now you're economically independent, or would it be more important to just make sure that everybody's included in some system, even if it's not your system?
I'm not against welfare. It's just I don't want mass welfare.
No, I'm not saying you're against it. I'm saying between those two values, which one is more important if you had to choose between the two? Being economically viable under your system or being able to provide for everybody?
Oh, ideally you'd have both.
Well, I know ideally, but I'm asking you right now which one. In a situation where you can't have both, the whole point of my scenario is that in that scenario you can't have both.
I feel like I'm being baited into this second option.
It's not. I'm just asking.
Well, because it's
I
kind
don't know.
of like,
I guess it is kind of baiting you to like.
Situation. Yeah, because it's like, what do you want? One where no one like where's.
I'm not saying this is most scenarios. I'm sure in most scenarios this would be the case. I'm just saying in this scenario where the two values are being weighed against each other, which one do you value more? It's not like a gotcha. I'm not like trying to like gotcha.
Probably the second one, but that's just because you want to make sure everyone has some level of access, of course.
Okay. I would tend to agree, yeah. But even if you said the first one, that would be fine.
Yeah. Well, the issue with the first one is that it deprives some people of a level of access. So it's like you have to pick the other option, or else you're kind of just like a dickhead.
Yeah, because like they might literally die. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
But some people would just be like, "Fuck it. You know what? We got to be independent. Okay, I'm not being a wagey no more."
And actually, like one thing that's really funny is that if you look at slavery, like, it's like the people who were slaves who became wage slaves are like, it's not an improvement. It's not really much of an improvement. You're only independent.
By wage slave, do you mean the wage slaves like immediately after slavery, or do you mean like the wage slaves of today?
It's true.
Wait, did you answer my
right
question?
After slavery.
Right after slavery? I could accept to some extent right after slavery, but you would agree the wage slaves of today are way better off than the slaves back then, right?
Yeah, of
That was
course.
literally known as
Okay.
like the debt slavery of like sharecropping. Like that was
Yeah.
like the whole point of
Abolition,
sharecropping.
former slave Frederick Douglass said,
Yeah, I've
quote,
read
"Now
Noam
I am
Chomsky too, buddy. I'm aware.
paying
No
job." He said,
Chomsky.
no.
Yeah,
He
Noam
says,
Chomsky has a. He talked about the. Oh, Abraham Lincoln was against
slavery
slave
wages
labor
only
too.
galling effects than chattel slavery. Only a little less galling and crushing in its effects. Only a little bit.
Wait, only a
In my
little bit
most
today,
wild,
or
wet dream fantasies,
That's what they said.
we live in a universe where Noam Chomsky just stayed like a linguist professor and just shut the fuck up about everything else.
I don't think that you'd be supporting wage slavery if we were still in like factories. I think it's only because
Well,
it's like
Well, we do still have factories. They just have better regulations, and they're
yeah,
not
but
as
now
like
it's like,
terrible.
most labor now is comfortable, whereas it used to not really be. And I think that's
it's true, I
changed a lot.
guess.
We'll see
wait,
it.
wait, I have a
more
question. Do you think the labor we do now is more comfortable than the labor you want us to do on our own local farms?
No.
Okay.
We might one
seems odd.
day have that technology. When we have the technology,
The farming meta is gonna be so strong, and you're just sleeping on it.
everybody's gonna have like a little Terra cube in their apartment, and it's gonna like grow shit.
Fully automatic, boom,
Fully
boom, boom.
automated. It'll be like a societal thing. Like right after you teach your kid how to wipe their ass, the next thing you teach him is like, this is how you set up the Terra cube so that you can fucking eat forever.
Oh yeah, well, Localist wants to teach everyone in schools how to farm.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, like right now we have a big one-size-fits-all slave factory where we're creating wage slaves in real time. We're creating infinite wage slaves.
Oh, and don't forget they teach them about the transgenders too, right?
To say we're a big slave factory.
America's one big plantation.
Okay, all right.
It's an advanced super plantation where the chains are not, where their chains are invisible.
If they're invisible, how do you see it so clearly? You seem to be so enlightened to it.
You need the red pill. You need to get the red pill.
Fuck, dude.
All the commies understand this stuff.
Well, yeah, everyone's just
liberal jumbo people. You know, they don't understand this. It goes over.
I was gonna ask if you consider yourself a communist. Certainly is that
not
rhetoric.
No, Localist is pretty
most communists
right wing.
Want to just like move into the woods.
I'm right wing.
Localist, what's your take on Trump?
Oh yeah, he cool.
Okay, what's your take on trans people?
All right.
He's a monarchist.
They not real.
Yeah, see, so supports Trump, doesn't like trans people. What's your take on? I think you have a not horrible take on gay marriage, right?
Should be banned. No, I'm kidding. I think it should be. I think that the Supreme Court was wrong.
Yeah, I'll consider it right wing. That's good enough for me.
That's not right wing. That's just constitutionalism. That's just true objective.
Well, I mean, it's in combination with the other things, but like
it bans gay marriage from being banned. No, it doesn't. The Constitution never said that. That's what the Supreme Court said, though.
I mean, I don't. Again, we've gone over this legal argument, but you won't even like. Yeah, like. Well, hold on. Do you agree that it did take the Trump Colorado Supreme Court ruling that the Supreme Court overturned? I forget the name of the case. I think it's just Trump v. U.S. Did take away the right of states to disqualify people, right? For federal.
I don't think they had that to begin.
No, they. Well, hold on, but they did. Well, they didn't know whether they had the right because it hadn't been tested before.
I think it was already established that they didn't.
No, why would it have to go to the Supreme Court then?
It's just how it works. Some stuff.
No, that's not how it had never been tested before.
Or
if it had been tested before, it wouldn't have been appealed to the Supreme Court. I don't think it's ever gotten into the Supreme Court before. What do you mean?
I mean, no, the Supreme Court makes decisions all the time based on stare decisis or like that has been decided.
Well, sure, they can, but I mean,
sometimes it's like, does this apply or does this not apply, or deciding that, or Is there found? There's many reasons why things might end up at the Supreme Court. I mean,
Okay, well, like,
and
let's
when
just
they
look
might
it up.
not, they might not decide to take it. That based on that, or they might decide to take it. I just.
But you would agree, Localist, it would be taking away a right that they at least thought they had, right?
No.
Wait. Colorado tried to remove Trump from the ballot, right? They thought they had the right to do that.
Why do you think they had the right to do that? Or like why?
Because under Section 3, Amendment 14, people who engage or abet in insurrection are disqualified from office.
Okay, so
and then under the elections clause, it grants states the ability to control their elections. That's why every state has different qualifications for being on the federal ballot already. The Green Party's on some federal ballots, but not on other federal ballots, depending on where you are, depending on what state you're in. So states already have some control over who's on the ballot for federal elections.
And the state can't unilaterally convict you of that.
Well, hold on. Whoa. Why? Who? Conviction? Whoa. Why do we need a conviction?
Because you can't just accuse someone of a crime they haven't been convicted of.
It's a fact. The argument is a factual thing. Wait. Do you need a conviction to be? Do you need a conviction to be removed from the ballot for being under 35?
No.
Yeah, exactly. It's a factual question. Right? So Colorado's position was that as a factual question whether Donald Trump had engaged in insurrection. The state Supreme Court made the determination that he did engage in insurrection. The Supreme Court said not that Trump didn't engage in insurrection, but that Colorado did not have the authority to enforce it. By the way, states can remove people from state elections for engaging in insurrection, even a valid conviction.
But not federal, because this is totally different. This is two.
Wait, but I mean, I don't care if it's different. I care whether it's taking away the state's right.
It's not taking away the state's right because they never had the right to remove him in the first place.
Well, they presume they had the right? It doesn't really matter if they had it to begin with. It matters if they thought they had it, and then his court said no. I don't know what you mean. Like you can.
I mean, they can hallucinate whatever they want, but it doesn't mean that it's true.
Well, I mean, like just because a right hasn't been like adjudicated doesn't really mean that like you would agree it's increasing the power of the federal government at least, right? Like,
no.
What do you mean no? It's by definition, it's giving something to federal jurisdiction that could be in state jurisdiction. You admit states could have that power, right?
What, to remove people from
the ballot for Section 3, Amendment 14, right?
Unilaterally and
states could conceivably have that power. In fact, I mean, Colorado exercised that power. They were just later prevented from doing so. So they clearly could have that power. We could imagine that, right? Well, okay, but I don't care. Wait. Could they have that power? Could they have that power?
What do you mean, could they?
Could they do it? Could states conceivably?
I think they decide who's on the ballot generally.
They do already. They already do this. They already decide who's on the ballot for everything else, but this one is special. Wait, Localist, answer the fucking question. Could they conceivably have the power to do this?
They could conceivably... Wait.
Can you imagine a hypothetical world where states have the power to do this? Or is that literally impossible for you to do?
Are you talking about lawfully or just like in creative mode?
I mean, we could imagine a hypothetical world where they could do it lawfully, right? If the Supreme Court...
We hallucinate a world where we do that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, hallucinate. It's a hypothetical. Like, you could imagine if the Supreme Court had come down on the side of Colorado, right?
No.
That's inconceivable to you. It is not. There is no possible world where the Supreme Court did that. That's a metaphysically impossible world.
Even if they did.
Wait, answer that, Localist. Is that a literally impossible world?
It was a 9-0 decision.
That doesn't. Okay, that's other. It is impossible for you guys to
conceive. You want to talk about fringe timelines?
Wait, hold. We can clearly imagine. It is so easy to imagine a hypothetical where they came down a Colorado side. Like, what do you mean? Even if we think it's unlikely. I think it's unlikely that I'll like get in a car crash and lose my leg tomorrow, but I can logically imagine getting in a car crash and losing my leg like. So, Localist, yes or no?
It's just not the fair assertion.
Yes, we could. Okay, we could conceive of that, right? So you would agree, relative to the counterfactual, where states were given the power, not giving them the power increases the power of the federal government, right?
The Supreme Court can't give powers to the federal government.
So relative to the counterfactual, does that increase the federal government's power? Yes or no?
Sure, man. Whatever you want.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so but you do think it was a good decision, regardless of even though it increased the federal government's power.
Sure, whatever you want.
Sure. Why are you're not taking this seriously anymore?
Well, no, it protected the rights of the citizens to not be refused to be on ballots.
I'm looking for the federal ballot. You can remove people. You know, they say like
Federal
due process
what?
or whatever. Yeah, states can remove people for insurrection to state ballots. They can stop them from running for state elections. You can stop someone from running from governor even if you don't convict them for insurrection. Well, why? But wait. Localist, the elections clause of the Constitution gives states a jurisdiction to generally control the manner of the election.
Oh, that implies a unilateral ability to remove people on hallucinations of insurrection.
Well, you agree that states are entitled to disqualify people from federal ballots, at least in some cases, right?
Sure, in some cases, but not in this case. And the logic was very clear. And
what was the logic? Well, I don't care whether the logic was clear or not right now. What I'm trying to get you to concede on, which you already kind of did, but in a trolling way. Wait, shut up. What I'm trying to get you to, the whole reason I'm like walking you through this whole thing, dragging you kicking and screaming, is that clearly in principle you don't think it's always bad for the Supreme Court to increase the power of the federal government. That's the principle that I'm trying to get you to accept right now.
I don't think they're increasing power by making it's something
how are you not increasing power relative to the counterfactual?
Because they didn't change anything; they just clarified.
Wait, but you already agreed. You already agreed that conceivably states could have this power, right?
Not legally, but
what do you mean not legally? Conceivably, the Supreme Court could have come down on the side of Colorado and said that states do have this authority. I don't see how that's not conceivable to you.
That wouldn't have changed whether or not they legally have the authority to do it, whether or not an opinion from the Supreme Court says so.
Well, it would change the binding law, right? It would change what interpretation was binding.
Not really.
Not really. Wait, that's such an obvious yes. What do you mean?
The power of the state has been restricted, and we already knew that the federal government had the right to weigh in on such a case. So the power of the federal government wasn't increased or decreased. So only the power of the state has been decreased. Is it more clarified of who they can not have on their ballot?
Well, I mean,
I don't think the power changed at all. I think they just clarified what already existed.
No, I don't think it already. I mean, I don't. If you guys can like link a case that it says
but
in part.
With this case, it was very clear cut and like very simple. Like it wasn't a no means yes, yes means anal, like it fucking usually is with them.
So real.
Like it wasn't mental.
I don't think this. All it says in Wikipedia, which maybe there's more stuff listed in the case, is that it altered in part Anderson v. Griswold, which was just a Colorado Supreme Court ruling. It didn't I don't think it revised any other ruling that the Supreme Court had held before. I don't think any case like this had ever gotten to the Supreme Court before.
It didn't change the law; it just clarified it. Like it didn't expand power or.
Well, that's not required. That's not required. The only thing required for the success of my argument is that relative to the counterfactual, where they had come down on the side of Colorado, states are less powerful.
Sure, relative to a. But that doesn't mean anything.
I mean, what do you mean it doesn't mean anything? That means states are less powerful relative to the counterfactual.
Relative to if they were given a legal authority.
I mean, you can say it's illegal. That's not particularly relevant, considering you think half the federal government authority right now is illegal, and you would still say the federal government is like illegally expanding its authority.
So you think whether Supreme Court whether Colorado can remove him is opinion from the Supreme Court?
Well, that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to the success of my argument. All that's relevant to the success of my argument is that the state's power is less.
No, I know.
But you can see that, right?
I'm talking about. Sure. Yeah. Okay, obviously, thanks. That's not.
Wait, but then you recognize that what follows from that is that you would have to agree with the principle that making states less powerful is not always bad.
When did I say that making... when did... I never made that claim, though.
You have held this position for so long, dude. Or sorry, the Supreme Court making state less powerful.
I'm more about whether, well, the way they usually make, well, like, okay, so it's because of the supremacy clause. You know, you can't conflict with a federal law, and so when they validate unconstitutional federal laws, you're cucking them, like you're cucking us, because now we can't have our own laws on this.
Real.
Inherently, like that's just how it works. So, yeah, like when they authorize a usurpation, which they don't have the ability to do lawfully, they're expanding federal power at the expense of our own power. Like, that's what I criticize. That has nothing to do with
what I'm trying to read.
That clarified the law. Like, it's just not a strong argument, or it's not the right point to make. It's not the optimal point to make.
I'm trying to read about the precedent. Oh shit, my webcam died. I'm trying to read about the precedent right now for the. According to Ballot, states are given legal obligation to remove Trump from primary ballots, which establishes Ballot concede over Griffin's case adopted a pragmatic.
That's about. I'm anti-usurpation. That's all. Like the federal government or like the Supreme Court like got rid of usurpation from Colorado. That's a good thing.
Well,
because they usurped the authority to do that. They usurped the authority to remove him from the ballot. The Supreme Court.
According to the Supreme Court, but you also think the Supreme Court doesn't control what a usurpation is, right? So
they don't have like final absolute authority to
so why should
to find the federal government.
Wait, would you support Colorado?
Because this is actually something in federal jurisdiction. This actually has
no. You don't know the elections clause of the Constitution grants the states the power to make decisions over the manner of the election.
That has nothing to do with removing a candidate.
Absolutely, it does. That's what gives That's what gives them the authority to remove people from the ballot currently. What do you mean?
No, yes.
Like yes or no? Can states set up? Wait, in some cases, but you agree with the principle that states can set up.
You don't have to do it.
Yes, they can. What do you mean? They already do this. The Green Party candidate is on the ballot in some states and not on the ballot in other states. What do you mean? They do that unilaterally. They don't need authority.
Qualifications. That's because
exactly. States are able to set up different qualifications. Like,
but they can't unilaterally remove a candidate who's qualified.
Well, the argument was Trump wasn't qualified.
Yeah, the argument was that they can't decide that, whether he's qualified, based on their hallucination of insurrection. It has to be... I'm sure if there was a federal conviction, then they could do it. But they can't unilaterally say, you committed insurrection.
Wait. Why do they let states remove people from the state ballot for insurrection without a conviction?
Because they're not letting them do anything. They just have that right to do that.
Yes, what do you mean? Yes, they are. They're letting states remove people from state ballots because of insurrection.
What
do you mean?
How do we know that?
If the federal government wasn't a thing, they would still be able to do that. So it's not the federal government telling them that they can or cannot.
Well, the federal government conceivably could ban. I'm talking relative to counterfactual. Can the federal government not like selectively incorporate an individual's right to be on the ballot without a conviction? Under the 14th Amendment?
I need to repeat that. I was kind of spaced
out. The federal government, is it not conceivable that the federal government could selectively incorporate the right of an individual to appear on a state level ballot?
No, I don't think so. Because
wait, Localized. Wasn't the justification was for Trump, right? Was that disqualifying him robs him of due process, right? Wasn't that the argument? Yes. So could you not concede?
Well, that's one of the arguments too. The other argument is also that that they can't. I don't know, because there's different between.
Well, that's the one I remember, but it's not really it's not conceivable to you that the federal government could or the Supreme Court, which is part of the federal government, could selectively incorporate the right to due process in this case where you can't be removed without a conviction, even for state level office. That's not conceivable to you.
State election. I don't think for the state election they would be. Maybe.
Well, I mean, but you recognize the Supreme Court does selectively incorporate rights to individuals by states, right? Like states can't violate the Fourth Amendment. That's a right that's been selectively incorporated.
Yes, and the way they
so is it conceivable that if Donald Trump is protected under this from being removed from the federal ballot, that is it at all conceivable that the Supreme Court could have applied that same right to people for a state level ballot? They could have selectively incorporated a right. Is that conceivable?
Conceivable, but I don't think that's like a good. I don't think that's the right way to do things, or like good. But like, yeah,
well, I think all that's required is that it's conceivable for me.
That happened. Yeah, I'm sure you can imagine. I'm sure you can conceive of anything.
Well, yeah,
conceive of almost anything.
Well, yeah, that's really all that's necessary for my argument. Like, the argument I'm making is like relative to the counterfactual.
But nothing follows from that.
Well, it follows that states are less powerful relative to the counterfactual because of the Supreme Court.
All the selective incorporation and, reinterpreting rights in a certain way and enforcing that on the states, it's all a bunch of bullshit.
Real.
Like, there's legitimate use cases of incorporation, but the way that it's used oftentimes is just bullshit.
So real. Wait, but would you have supported them selectively incorporating this right for people not to be removed from ballots because of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment without a conviction?
Potentially. Like, if they are trying to say this person can't run for state office because they're, I don't know, an insurrectionist, and we say so because they participated in January 6th.
Well, this has happened, right? You know that this has happened. People have been barred from the ballot on the state level in Arizona because they participated in January 6th.
Ideally, that would go to the... Ideally, that would be the... Ideally, it would be state courts, but it's a federal right, so it's like
probably. What do you mean? Ideally, it should be the state. Like, ideally, the state should be able to bar them from office without a conviction, or
no?
So you don't agree that states should be able to bar people? You don't agree with the current binding law that states should not be able to bar people without a conviction?
Yeah, I don't think they should be able to do that.
Okay.
Unlike,
I don't think that's the law.
And that's only
that is the law. What do you mean? Right now, states can remove people from the ballot. Yeah, look up. There's a guy
of a thing.
Yeah.
They can remove. They just can't do it for non-con.
Like New Mexico, Trump. Well, no, they can do it for the exact same reason as Trump. They just lack the authority to enforce it for federal elections, but they can do it for the exact same reason. New Mexico removed ballot Jan 6, or it might be Arizona. Yeah, here we go. This dude, I sent it in general. His name is like Griswold or so. Corey Griffin. Corey Griffin.
What I want to know is like who would adjudicate that? Would it be the state Supreme Court or would it be the
I'm pretty sure it's the state Supreme Court ruled.
Ideally, it would be the state Supreme Court, but it is a federal right, so it could go to the normal Supreme Court.
Well, it already did, and they ruled that New Mexico has the authority to do it for state elections. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or he was removed from elected office. He wasn't just barred for being on a ballot. I think he was literally removed from office. Get fucked, owned. Hell yeah.
Just sat back down with my coffee and I hear "get fucked, owned." Let's go.
Hell yeah. I love removing insurrectionists from office.
Insurrection thing it's so funny because like imagine we started hallucinating like, oh, the George Floyd riot was an insurrection. Okay, now no one who participated in that or is able to run for office. Like obviously
well we're just talking about the principle. The thing we've been talking about is the principle of whether states should have the right to remove people from the ballot because of insurrection.
But the core issue is who says it was an insurrection.
Yeah.
That's the core.
The issue is whether the issue no because right now the states have the authority to remove it even without a criminal conviction. So like The issue is being able to enforce it.
Who says
the state? If the
who's
state
saying
says
this?
it's an insurrection,
But we're talking about one single judge that says a thing, and then that's what.
well, I mean, they can appeal to.
Not even one judge, one lawmaker says it, or like
Well, no.
like
Well, I mean, presumably they would be found guilty and whatever, like, or not guilty, but found to have committed insurrection, like in a district court, and then they could appeal to the state supreme court.
Can they just accuse everyone of insurrection unilaterally and say no one can fucking run? That doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, it's again.
Do you think the appellate courts are going to hold a big hearing on whether or not that person did an insurrection?
They've already done this. They looked at this guy was removed from office.
Wait, what state?
In New Mexico.
From office.
And I think removed from elected office. And then I think it's happened in Arizona too. Arizona election Jan 6 removal. I think it's or maybe
I don't believe insurrection is even for.
Well, but that's different than like the principle of like. I mean, you don't think it's real at all? It's not conceivable that one could happen at all?
Or like insurrection or rebellion. Yeah, and then like what does that mean? Anal? No, it's like no means yes means anal. We're just gonna use mental.
Yeah, that's definitely follows from that. Okay.
You can't run for office if you committed an insurrection or rebellion, and everything's rebellion. Everything's insurrection. If you resist the usurpation, that's rebellion.
I mean,
New Mexico was found guilty of a January 6th related crime when he was disqualified. He was found guilty of something. He was convicted.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure states already. Yeah, that's not insurrection. That's not a conviction of insurrection. Yeah. No one has been convicted of insurrection, as the right loves to point out.
That's because insurrection was a narrative and it wasn't actually something real. It was just fucking
real.
Trying to lie to people to manipulate the perception. No, I'm saying that January 6th was not an insurrection.
Wait, was the attack on Fort Sumter an insurrection? Was the attack on Fort Sumter an insurrection?
I don't even know what that was. I don't know.
The thing that started a civil war, dumbass.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Depends. Probably not.
Depends?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Wait, how does this depend? This should be like a pretty easy thing. I mean, you might not consider it insurrection just because it led to a full-out rebellion, but like,
I don't know, because there's a lot of implications.
What if ratified the votes and then the military, half of the military agreed, and then half of the military disagreed? Then it would have been like an all-out civil war.
What led to an all-out civil war?
There was no civil war. No,
I'm talking about on January 6th. Imagine if Mike Pence ratified the votes, and then like half of the military battalions side with one side, and then half of them side with Pence and Trump. That'd be a problem.
There was no civil war, Nonfon. You know this.
Yeah, no, I'm aware.
It was a war for independence.
Yeah.
It was a war for independence.
Exactly. I don't know why you think those preclude each other, but okay.
Oh, they do.
They really don't. Plenty of wars.
There was the war for independence in the revolution, and then there was the real war for real independence during the so-called Civil War. That was real independence.
They keep calling it the Civil War just so they can,
They were trampling all over our way of life. Okay, that was our way of life.
It's all your fault, Nonfon.
Yeah.
You side with these people. You're like, oh yeah, whatever you say, union. Yes, we are one nation. One nation under God, indivisible. Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance.
I don't know what you mean. I hate unions. They make the wage above equilibrium.
What happened? Right. What happened, Nonfon? What happened?
What happened to
what?
Right.
I don't know. The Civil War.
Taking away our states' rights. Oh, we're gonna incorporate this. We're gonna incorporate that. No.
Yeah.
Not if I can help it. We're gonna incorporate our interpretation of this amendment. Oh, nice. That's totally legitimate.
The Nonfon interpretation is the only good interpretation. And that interpretation Bart anyone named Donald J. Trump from running from office.
There are no rights. Nobody has rights.
Well,
only me.
It is 2 a.m. where I am. That's about when I end stream. And I started early today, too, so I've been streaming for almost 10 hours. So I gotta
the
go.
wage slavery, it's pretty bad stuff.
Boy.
I am sleepy. All right. Well,
At least you can
guys
read it about wage.
Stay here if you want, but I gotta go. See you guys. If you want to chat with me live, sub here or go to Nonfon 420 on Twitch or Kick via the links below. Once again, please like and sub to help with the algorithm, and consider sending a donation through YouTube Super Thanks to directly support me, and I'll make sure to reply to any question you ask. See you guys next time.